Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report for me is a little bit of a blast from the past. This is the Smith Wesson M&P 22 full-sized. Now this is a discontinued model. Smith & Wesson still makes the compact. Well, really, Walther makes it under license from Smith & Wesson. But they've discontinued the full size for some reason. And the reason I say it's kind of nostalgic for me is that when I first got into YouTube about 10 or 11 years ago, my good friend, the Fort Worth Glock guy, owned one of these, and I remember going to the range with him and shooting it and really liking it. And when my good friend Jack said, "Hey, I have one of these, would you be interested in reviewing it?" I said, absolutely. I was really excited to get my hands on one of these again. It's been a long time. Now, I will say my knowledge of guns has improved over the past 10 years, and I've become a lot more picky. But there's still things about this gun that I like. And of course, there's a few things that I don't like. But let's always start with the positive first. First and foremost, this gun definitely looks the part. It looks like a Smith & Wesson M&P 9 1.0. It definitely looks and feels the part. So if you're looking for a gun that you can train with and has the same manual of arms and feel as its big brother, this is really a great gun to go to. I'm really impressed with that. Other things I really like are the threaded barrel and the accessory rail. Those two things I think are really nice upgrades for any of these 22 caliber guns, especially if you're going to use it as a training gun. So if you want to train with a laser or light, or if you want to run these with a suppressor, you can do that. So they really do give you a lot of options. Now when it comes to the things that I don't like, well, I hate to say it, I think my list has kind of grown since 11 or 12 years ago. First and foremost, this is actually a hammer-fired gun. I know it looks like a striker-fired gun. If you look here in the back, it looks like it might have some type of plate in the back, but it doesn't. It actually has an internal hammer. One of the downsides, I think, to these Walther designs is they're all hammer-fired. Of course, you know the M&P series is a striker-fired gun. And it's probably easier to manufacture this, but I kind of feel like for the authenticity, they could have done a better job and made a striker-fired 22. I don't know if it has to do anything with the engineering, but I would actually think it would be an easier gun to manufacture. I don't like the fact that the gun has that internal hammer. It's just a little bit weird to me. Another thing too, because this is a scaled down version of a full-size gun, the material that they have to make the slide of has to be extremely light. And for me, when I kind of hold it, it kind of feels a little bit chintzy. I know on the compact version, which is a little bit smaller than this, and some other guns that Walther makes that are scaled down versions of full-size guns, they scale them down enough where the material that they can make the gun out of, or especially the slide, feels a little bit more quality. Now, this doesn't feel like it's really cheap and chintzy, but you definitely feel how light and thin the material has to be, and it just has to be that way so the slide can cycle with 22 long rifle. The only negative thing I can say about it is that it only comes with a 10-round magazine. And yeah, many of these Walther Umarex copies only come with 10-round magazines. It's probably done that way for reliability when it comes to the feeding from these magazines. And it also helps them when it comes to importation reasons, and especially if they have to sell these guns in states behind enemy lines, as we say, where they have magazine capacity limits. So why design a gun with 15 or 20 rounds when 10 will just suffice? I just kind of wish that they had more options. Now, this is a very skinny magazine. Even though the magwell looks like it's kind of big, it's narrow inside. So it's not like another company can make a 15 rounder and put it in here. It would have to be extended. I just wish that would have been thought about ahead of time. I know it's kind of a small gripe and most of these 22s only come with 10 round mags, but it's just one of those things that I would personally like to see. Well, I'm gonna take a stroll down memory lane. I'm gonna shoot this thing again for the first time, see how it groups, and see if I still think it shoots as nice as it did. Alright, so I think the gun group's pretty good, but it's definitely shooting a little bit high. I'll just have to compensate for that moving forward. Something else about the gun that I don't like, which is kind of a carryover from all of the Smith & Wesson M&Ps, is while I do like curved triggers, and I've talked about my dislike of flat triggers in the past, these M&Ps just have a trigger that is way too curved. I never really liked that. And the trigger itself is actually in two parts. It does have the trigger safety, but it's not like the Glock Dingus where it's built into the center. It is the whole lever and bottom part of the trigger moves. I'm not really a big fan of that. I wish that this trigger was not that curved. I don't like them flat, as I said, but that's just way too curved. A little bit uncomfortable for my fatter finger, but I can get over it just like I do on my Smith & Wesson M&Ps. Well, I'm now going to shoot this for a little bit more accuracy at a longer distance. I'm going to put the target out to 12 yards. And once again, before you criticize me, please remember, I am not a professional shooter. I'm not a trick shot. I'm just an average gun guy. So if my grouping opens up and you're not impressed with it, that's okay. I'm just an average shooter, an average gun guy that just likes to shoot cool guns. Well, I'm going to go for the head on this silhouette target at 12 yards, and I'm going to have to compensate for the fact that the gun is shooting a little bit high. But let's see how I do. So I definitely had to hold down on the target a little bit, but all the shots were on the silhouette in the head. So I'm pretty happy with that accuracy at 12 yards with just this little 22 target pistol. Very happy with that. And I do have to say the trigger on this is really nice. Probably out of all of these Walther Umarex copies, this one has one of the nicest resets. It's loud, it's audible, and it's pretty short. So I'm happy with how this thing is running. And that also brings up the reliability. So far, I've shot about 4 magazines, only recorded and put on camera 2 of them. I haven't had a single hiccup so far. And I am running CCI mini mags, which I think is some of the best 22 kind of target ammo out there. So I would expect this gun to be able to take that. And so far, it has. The reliability has been perfect. Well, I'm now going to move on to what I call the defensive use. Now, I know 22 is not a good caliber to use for self-defense, but I always try these guns out in case you are in some type of scenario, you have to shoot really fast, change magazines, insert a new mag, and get it back in action. Well, I'm going to try that. I'm going to load 2 magazines up to 5 rounds each, try to see how quickly I can change these mags out and how I like it. Alright, so I've had my first malfunction of this range report. Essentially, the round kind of stovepiped coming out of the magazine. Well, that's kind of to be expected when it comes to 22. These things are not always going to be 100% reliable. Well, I want to give the gun another shot. So I'm going to load up the magazines again and try the test once more. So that test ran as I hoped. The magazines dropped free, really easy to reinsert, get the gun back in action. I'm really happy with the way that this thing functioned. It also feels so good in the hand. It is just like a real M&P 9. Absolutely love it. Well, I'm going to put 2 more mags through this thing. I'm going to show you it from the front. I'm going to take the first mag, just take my time, and the second mag, I'm going to try to do a mag dump. Hopefully, I won't have any other malfunctions. But with 22, you never know. So to my surprise, I had 3 malfunctions, but I think that's just kind of the nature of 22. Whenever you're dealing with rimfire, you're going to have feeding issues. The round was not initially designed to be fed in semi-autos. I mean, the round goes all the way back to the 1850s. So the fact that we can make them run in semi-auto is actually pretty cool and a testament to modern design. You also have issues when it comes to the rounds going off when the hammer hits the primer. It's not always a guaranteed thing, and another reason why 22 isn't considered to be a good caliber for self-defense. But what are my final thoughts on this? I gotta say, it is a real pleasure to shoot. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the reliability. I don't think I've ever had a 22 pistol that has been 100% accurate. There's just too many variables in there, from the magazine design all the way to the ammunition that you are using. But this gun seems to run like a champ. And for a gun that I would personally buy just as a range toy, it's a lot of fun. I really like the fact it is the full size. It feels better in my hand. Sometimes when they scale the guns down too much, they begin to feel a little bit like toys. But remember, there's always going to be the trade-off. When you have the larger guns like this, they're always going to feel a little bit more chintzy just because the materials have to be that much lighter. And this gun does suffer from that. It's just one of those trade-offs that you have to accept. Now, if you want a 22 that's going to feel a little bit more solid, definitely go for the compact version of this. As I said, I've held one of those and I've fired one of those, and they feel a little bit more solid. But I think Walther did a fantastic job with this, and I'm really surprised that Smith & Wesson did discontinue it. Maybe they thought that there was no longer a market for it. Maybe sales slumped and people just wanted a smaller 22. I personally think that if they brought this gun back out with a higher capacity, maybe put on the 2.0 texture, it would really be a good seller, especially if maybe you could add some optic plates to it and offer it in different colors like the flat dark earth. It might be a real winner. I don't think they're ever going to do that, but it's something that I think, as I said, would be kind of a hot item. So, on my star system, what would I rate the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 full-sized, unfortunately a discontinued model? Well, I'm definitely going to give this thing a 4.5 star rating out of 5. And maybe it's just a little bit of nostalgia in me, but the gun is really fun to shoot. It's just great. It's well designed, it's well built, it feels like its big brother. I wish there was a 2.0 version of it. I had a few hiccups, but as I said, it is to be expected for just a range toy. And yes, this gun, in my opinion, is a range toy. I would not recommend carrying this gun for self-defense because of the caliber and the reliability. But if you own an M&P 9 or M&P 40 or 45 and want something to shoot that's a little bit cheaper, but you can still replicate the manual of arms and the experience, well, this would be the way to go. I'm pretty sure that you can still pick these up on some of the auction sites. And if it's something that interests you and maybe you just want it as part of your M&P collection, I don't think you can go wrong. I think Smith & Wesson had a winner here. And why they discontinued it, I don't know. It's well thought out, well designed, feels good in my hand, a real pleasure to shoot. So if you get a chance to shoot one of these, go out and do it. I couldn't recommend it more. So there you go. That is my range report on the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 full size 22 pistol. So do you guys own one of these? Did you ever own one of these? I would love to know. And do your experiences echo mine? So let me know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.